Hey everybody, my name is Helena.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are Speaker Insight, where we help speakers, authors and coaches to build a business on your terms. And in this Facebook Live, we're really going to talk about something that is vital to your business, but that most people kind of hide away from, which is how to delegate so that you can actually thrive. Whether you're a speaker, author or coach or an all together. Hey Alison, nice to have you here.
And all together, hi Alison.
Well, it just flowed into each other, which is really kind of how it is. So we've got 4 people joining us already. So I'm just going to sit here and do what is the buzz in your business, and remember to do a hashtag replay. Should you be watching this not live and with us like the ladies actually are right now, but more from the comfort of your own home, somewhere in the globe, wherever you are. So we would love to know what the buzz is in your business. So do pop that in the comments. What's new, exciting, inviting? What awards are you up for? What's happening towards the end of this year? What are you doing to step into the next decade? You know, all of that good stuff.
Small stuff.
Yeah, small stuff. Well, you know, I'm on the small stuff. And actually, I think the reason I've got that on my mind is, in terms of the buzz in our business, Kelly actually did a brilliant presentation yesterday, which some of you may already have watched. But more importantly, I've actually, in terms of coming forward...
Importantly?
Oh, you see what I did there? That's like, I thought she might not catch it.
Just because I'm sharing it out, my ears are still open.
It wasn't that. It was what's coming up. But I guess you can watch things at any time, which is a really good thing.
I'm going to trump you. Bethan's website's live.
Woohoo!
You want to see a link, Beth? Put the link in the comments so we can all have a review of it, please.
Yeah, total buzz there for you. And we know you've worked really, really hard on it. You know, she's one of our change makers, and she's been in the background just really working away at it.
Away.
And it is looking amazing. Sneak preview last night, which is good. So anyway, back to the buzz in our business. So first things first, I was going to say, because more importantly, the Connect and Create Day is coming.
Right.
And so that's where you get to see Kelly live rather than virtual. So before you jump on me next time, so the Connect and Create Day for 2020, our first event announced for 2020, 23rd of January. If you fancy actually coming to meet some of the people in the Connection Hub, and for those of you who are not members of the Connection Hub, I'm sure
Kelly is, there.
Which is great. So because that's where the conversations really happen. So the Connect and Create Day tickets are out and ready for you to come and join us, have a 20-minute session with either Kelly or I, meet some of the fellow hubbers, and really just come and work on your business. More on that in this live, which is good. I am running on the 7th of December. I am running the More Than a Vision Board workshop. It's a brilliant way to really think about what do I want to create in 2020 and beyond. So if you fancy stepping back in order to actually really look forward, that's one way of doing it.
That's in London. For this one.
Go on then.
Kieran's, the buzzers, the project's coming along nicely. But the point is that he's waiting until the What's Your Offer post in the Connection Hub to tell us what it is. I knew that Kieran was going to be on teasing me with this project.
But it's great because we've got a working title, which is...
Humanity is a mess. I completely agree with you.
I totally agree. So now, yes, that definitely qualifies for intrigue, Kieran. Right, okay, so one more bit of buzz in our business. So if you can't join me in London on the 7th, maybe you can join me and Karen Yates, who is one of our very favourite people who does some amazing boot camps up in Scotland on a quarterly basis. So for those of you up north, come and join us. She's really having a go at me today, I swear.
Sorry, I'm just...
I'll tell you what that was. That was actually me having had a little exchange with Andrea Newton. And so we were talking about a different north, you see. So I wasn't trying to be Scottish. Good God, me, a Danish person trying to be Scottish, not going to work.
Bethan's looking forward to your vision board work.
Yay! Beth, I can't wait to see you and Dave both. It's really exciting. So we've got the Connect and Create Day on the 23rd of January. I'm just going to summarize because we're going all over the place already. We have got the 7th of December, the Vision Board and Wonder Space Workshop, and the boot camp, which you can actually get, because Karen's a good mate, you can get for £29. We are doing a whole bunch of goal setting up in Scotland for the whole day, and it's just going to be absolutely amazing. So if you're anywhere sort of, 2 hours from Edinburgh, please come, because it'll just be amazing, A, to see you, but B, it'll be amazing for you and your business to actually do that. So that is the buzz.
A lot of buzz, right?
A lot of buzz. And I think 10 of you have joined us now, so I'm going to stop actually doing that, start doing education.
Getting some teaching. Come
on. I know. It's got to be done. So, as speakers, authors and coaches, you are usually running a business that has you in it, or you plus a couple of people. But really, one of the things that we honour is that you are at the heart of your business. And the point is, you can't run a speaker, author, coach business on your own.
Not very well anyway.
Not very well. Well, you end up wearing so many different hats and you simply can't do it all. You have to have some help. You have to delegate to get things done. And so what we're aware of and have become aware of over the last little while is that there's delegation and there's abdication, and there are things that get done and things that don't get done, and we thought we would actually just tackle it up front and tell you some thoughts and point you in the right direction of what you can do to delegate in the best way possible as a speaker, author or coach running your business. So we're going to share a couple of things, but the core element here really from us is it's all about ownership. So even if you delegate, you still are the person that owns this business. Because here's the thing, lots of things need doing in your business and you are not an expert in all of them, and we don't want you to be.
You shouldn't be, right? You can't be an expert in everything.
No, not at all. So when you actually delegate tasks and things that need to be done properly with structure and forethought, intentions and structure, that actually allows you to free yourself up from the crushing load of tactical, everyday things that can feel like, my head is going to be exploding and I'm overwhelmed, right? But if you keep doing all those little things without an eye on the bigger picture, it really is going to kind of wear you down, and you'll be trapped by those little things without actually ever being able to step into the bigger vision that you have for you, your business, the world around you.
Your purpose, everything.
Yeah, the whole thing. We're obviously a little bit purpose focused at the moment.
Because we're filming our purpose course.
Yes, today in fact. So we're having a little bit of fun with that. So you've probably heard the principle, Eisenhower matrix or adaptations thereof, of the do it, defer it, delete it or delegate it. Our job today is to help you understand what you might want to delegate so that you can actually focus on the core areas that you are great at, so that you can get the jobs done, but without it necessarily being you that's doing them, because that gets you the progress and the profit that you want to make, right?
It is. Just so Brett's looking forward to the Connect and Create Day on the 23rd. I know you couldn't make the last one, Brett, so we look forward
it'll be good to see you.
And Joseph has launched her JFI Academy yesterday after 11 months of creation and curation.
Congratulations.
So again, just like Beth, put the link in, Hun, so people can see what JFI is all about.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, I know this for a fact because in supporting resources the other day, five lucky hubbers actually get the opportunity to go in for free.
Oh,
so if you haven't jumped on that, if it hasn't been snapped up, go have a look.
So let's, Helena said about this earlier, that there's a difference between delegation and abdication.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And so the real difference is actually the ownership side of things. And I think that's where people fall into the trap, where actually they start abdicating tasks to other people and then think, oh, it's not my responsibility anymore, right? I give that to somebody else. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to manage it, take responsibility.
They're better at it than I am, so surely that's okay.
So, and when you look at the definition to abdicate, it says that basically this is when you fail to fulfill a duty or responsibility. And so none of us want that, right? If you've got all those things on your to-do list or your project management tasks, you want to definitely make sure that you're taking the responsibility of owning them. But that doesn't mean doing them.
No.
And I think this is where, when I speak to lots of speakers, authors and coaches, I think this is where it falls down a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because when there are topics that you might not know much about, let's say things that are quite confusing, like pay-per-click, PPC, or search engine optimization, SEO, these are things that most people, because they're tech, they freak out, right? And they know that they actually think that, I need to get higher ranked on Google, or I need more leads from Facebook, or whatever it might be. And then they just go, I'm going to abdicate it.
Yeah.
So they hire somebody to do it,
Yeah.
and they have no idea on how long it should take, what results should they be looking for, what's the actual strategy and systems they're going to use.
Yeah, you don't end up knowing what you're actually delegating or abdicating because you don't know any of those things. You don't actually understand whether you're going to get value or not, or whether the person's any good or not.
And normally this is where people get burnt. We hear a lot of the time, I've spent so much money on ads, I've spent so much money on SEO, and I've got nothing in return.
Yeah.
Or because you haven't got that awareness, you get duped.
Yes.
There are so many people say, I've been to this SEO expert and he's told me that I can get onto #1 of Google pages with my brand name. And I'm like, of course you bloody could.
Yeah.
Because nobody's got your brand name, but also nobody's going to be searching for your brand name if your brand is new.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is where what we're saying to you is that your responsibility where you don't abdicate is when you start to actually learn the basics of things so that you know what you're asking for. We're not saying you need all the nuances to know how to split test ad campaigns and what platforms to use and how much budget. Leave that to the experts.
That is why you delegate.
Because you probably don't enjoy it. But you need to have watched some YouTube training videos or speak to some experts. We've got so much in the hub, in our recorded trainings of raising your awareness of how to build websites, how to do graphic design, how to do all these things.
You need to know enough and enough about what you want it to do that you can have a conversation that's a sensible one that allows you to make decisions.
And that also makes sure that you don't get duped on overspending.
Yes.
And for people taking longer than it should take to do the task.
Yes.
So it's raising your awareness. So you're taking the ownership and responsibility, but then you're delegating the work to be done because it's somebody that's more expertise at it than you, and they're going to do a better job.
Yeah. And your job is to be consistently checking that is happening. And if there's something that you don't understand, then your job is also to actually ask the questions that allow you to understand what progress is actually being made, right? So one of the key things is knowing what you're good at and knowing where you want your business to go are the two things that actually allow you to decide what to delegate, because you are responsible. Yes, this is the Responsibility Facebook Live. You are totally in ownership of your business.
It's not a sexy one, guys.
No, it really isn't, but it's a really important one, because so Kelly just did the definition of abdication. The definition of delegation is actually entrusting a task or a responsibility to another person, usually someone less senior than you or with different skills to you. So you are ultimately responsible for creating the growth, the change, and the direction that you want to go in, or that your business wants to grow in. Because remember, there's you and there's your business, right? So the times that you should look at actually doing delegation is the tasks that are ones that you just don't understand. If you don't understand a task, that is a good thing to delegate. But again, you need to have a base level of knowledge. So where can you get that awareness first, and then actually delegate something? The second time is if you just don't have the time. So maybe you can actually do something, but you don't have the time. Maybe you're in full delivery. Maybe your time is spent more wisely somewhere else. When you don't have the time, that is a good time to delegate, because actually your time could be spent better elsewhere. By the flip side of that, it could also be that if your hourly charge is more than it would cost you to outsource, that's a good time to delegate. And it may just be that there are things that are just not in your skill set. It might just be that you are pants at copywriting, for example. And really, at the end of the day, if you're pants at something, you shouldn't be doing that in your business. It should be something that's delegated. So with that list of 4 things, so you don't understand it, you don't have the time, they're not in your skill set, or you could be making more doing something else. Make a list of what those things are. That's a tangible takeaway for this, because that's actually going to start you thinking about what you need to delegate and who you might possibly need to ask to do those things, or at least ask for in somewhere like the Connection Hub.
And Kieran's rightly said that accountability is key to all of this.
Yes.
Like life, basically.
Totally.
But and really nice of Joseph to say that the resource that we've got in the hub of all our recorded live is actually a great place to start, even before you Google something, because it can save you so much time.
Oh, bless you, darling. Hey, we're better
With
than
the new
Google. That's actually going to be my little... Somebody should make a GIF of that.
Can we make it? Can you put it in a testimonial, Josepha, that we're better than Google?
Please. That would just make me so happy. I want to slap that anywhere and everywhere. That's really cool. So what we thought would be really helpful for you is to really look at some of the areas that we suggest that you might think about outsourcing or delegating in some way, whilst
abdicating.
Yes, right. I think they've got that bit. I think we're just going to move on with that and just call it delegating from here on in. So one of the first places is the technical setup and the systems. We know that as speakers, authors and coaches, that's kind of where your tech headache goes in. And earlier on, Kelly said, if you freak out at those things, I'm going to add in if you freak out or zone out, because actually both of those things are kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, and they let you know that there is definitely an area that you don't know about.
Passionate about.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Unlike us.
Yes, geeks. Geeks. Better than Google. Geeks, better than Google. Here it is. Right, okay. So, whether it's your website, your payment portals, Beth, you can let us know. Did you outsource? Did you delegate? Did you work together? How did you actually do it? Taruna's just talking about this. Great. So whether it's the payment portals, the equipment that's needed, I want to start Facebook Lives. What equipment do I need? Or I want to record my online course. Which lamps should I get? And so on and so forth. Whether it's just changing hosting providers and actually streamlining the financials in your business through the equipment and the assets that you've got. You get the idea, right? If all of that's making you go freak out, zone out, then the chances are that you may need to do some delegation, but you need to step back and really think about what are the tech components that I need help with, right?
The other bit, this is the bit that I glaze over on, is actually finance, right?
Guess who does that?
But I think a lot of creatives don't really manage, they don't have a lot of stuff where they manage numbers, targets, their finances. It's something which is always looked back in retrospect more than forecasting or having your finger on the pulse of your finances. So, but it's something that when you working together and having systems in place, we do have our finger on the pulse, so we can know exactly what the heartbeat of our business, our finance situation is at any stage of the time. And that's because we have a combination of delegation systems and actually us taking responsibility. Because really putting it on the line here, there are going to be some things in your business that we're going to talk about which you can't outsource.
No.
Right? Even if you don't like it, even if you don't have the time, even if it's worth more than your time doing a one-to-one coaching session, there are some things that you can't outsource.
And shouldn't, ever.
Right. And actually having that awareness on your figures is one of those things.
Yeah.
So, but the way that we've actually worked with finances and working through delegation is actually looking at, who's actually responsible for the P&L? Who's actually looking at the balance sheet? Who's making sure that your VAT returns are done on time, end of year accounts, payroll, all those types of things are looked after. And actually one of the things that we use mostly in finance to delegate are systems and software more than people.
The key thing around that is there was a bit of drudgery that actually was needed around learning those systems, because we know how important the financials, the numbers are to the business. So we needed to get really clear about those systems, right?
And actually that's actually ended up costing us less in the long run. So most people we find in finances are actually spending quite a lot of money on bookkeeping. when actually nowadays, especially with now the regulation of actually all your accounts having to be submitted online digitally, is actually we use a system called Xero, which is XE. I'll put the link in here in a minute. It's Xero.com. And we combine that with another piece of software called Receipt Bank. So when we're outside and we're having a cup of coffee, we've got a client, we're taking them for lunch. When we get the receipt, we just snap a picture of the receipt on our phone, which means you don't have shoe boxes under your bed full of receipts. That then links up to our Xero bookkeeping accounts and it reconciles itself. So everything we have is digital. Everything means that it's actually reconciled at the time of doing. So when we go to do our end of year or end of quarter accounts,
that was it.
It's really easy.
It's searchable, right? And it's like if there is a query somewhere or we do need to find something, it makes it easy.
It's really trackable. You can even go into Receipt Bank and look at the map of where you had that coffee to remind yourself of, I know what that was for. So these are two links that I'll put in the comments here. But working with them and working with our accountant to make sure that they help us forecast, they keep us accountable, they keep us on track on those things. This is a way that actually we know that we're actually working to our best ability with finances. So let me put those links in. And QuickBooks is the same way, Taruni. So there's lots of them. Free Agent, QuickBooks, Xero. We just use Xero because of the integration with Receipt Bank. We really like that. And it's also what our accountant uses. So make sure your accountant uses your software.
That's exactly it. So you know, and that's one of the questions that you ask when you're delegating, which is, you know, what is the systems that I already know, and actually who works with that I can work with? Who works with that I can work with? It's a really good question to ask yourself. So the next area, so we've done tech, we've done finance. The next bit is, and so this is a freak out or zone out, kind of somewhere in the middle, is sales. You know, for some of you, this is about actually ensuring that the systems that you have support the sales structures in your business. Now, for some of you, you don't actually enjoy the selling element. Well, first and foremost, I'm always going to say, wearing my coaching hat and wearing the emotionals, what's that all about, right? And go and tidy that up.
Why do you not like problem solving?
It's like, because that's exactly what it is. Now, for those of you who want to get more comfortable with you actually doing the selling in the business, we have a whole other training on that in that list that Josepha was just kind of saying.
Yeah, I'll put the discovery call one in, shall I?
Yeah, that's perfect. But for some of you, it may actually be that you are looking at scaling your business and that part of the business needs to be done by somebody else so that you can go and do the delivery. Perhaps you are actually beginning to restructure your business and the business model to the extent where you really are the ambassador for your business. Remember, we say there's you, there's your business, you're the ambassador for your business, and it supports you. So if you are changing how you do what you do, you may want to put a sales structure in place that actually is they do the initial sales calls and you do the final that says yes or no in some way. So it may be that sales, or indeed telesales, is the thing that you outsource and delegate to. But again, sales is directly related to numbers, and you absolutely need to own your numbers, right? So
as Ian K joins it,
you see,
perfect timing for an accountant to join, right? Music to your ears, Ian, right? So the other thing which Helena alluded to at the beginning of this live, which is another thing which we often get a sense check from rather than completely outsource, is about copywriting, right? So I think we've got in our Changemaker membership site, I know Stephanie put up a post today about she's going to upload her sales pages for us this week to review, because it's the thing that she just doesn't feel confident in writing. She doesn't have that technique as a natural talent.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we're so much in our own stuff that it's quite hard for us to sell it or actually put the articulation around it.
We're almost too close to it, right?
So that's why when you've got, whether it's lead pages and landing pages to write, sales pages, proposals, it could even be the workshop copy of the workbooks and things like that you've got in your retreats. Yeah. So there's so much copy in running a business as a speaker, author or coach that I would always make sure you just get it looked at for grammatical reasons, because again, you're too in it to see it. Completely. But it's also having those really punchy headlines. It's also making sure that you're hitting the pain points that person sees because they're not so in it as you are. Yeah. However, this is one of those things, a bit like finances, where you have to be really careful to not give your voice away completely.
Oh, it is so vital, because at the end of the day, you're a speaker, author, or coach business. This may not be relevant for so many other businesses, but you are at the heart of your business. And so because you're at that heart, we want your voice to be the thing that attracts people, that enrolls people, that enlists people. And that's actually what's really vital with this, right?
So this is why you can't outsource really your social media posts, the actual essence of what you're writing, your blog posts. You can't obviously outsource your Facebook Lives.
No, but that would be interesting. Hello,
Bob.
Bob. Could you go and do our Facebook Live at 1:00?
But the element of it is because this is the authentic part of you. Yeah. This is where nobody else has got your knowledge, your expertise, your insights, and your voice. So this is sometimes when you're actually outsourcing to a copywriter, you have to maybe try before you buy to make sure that you like their style and it matches you.
Yeah.
And perfectly with
Alison's great comment.
You read her comment and I'll pick her up.
So Alison just actually said, that's what I find in all the copy coaching I do. So few people are clear about what they want to say. A lot of it is actually confidence about being bold about your business. And that's just like, as a little meme, I'm like, be bold about your business is just totally right there.
And this is what we love about Alison, right? And I'm going to put a link to her copy clinic in here.
Because we love her a lot.
Yeah. And the way that I like to work with Alison is that we write our copy.
Yes.
And then we give it to Alison to make it all better.
Yeah.
Because it means that we retain our voice.
Yes.
But she just makes it look fabulous because that's her skill in this is amazing.
She kind of cuts through the bump that we might do. Like the fact that these lives were only ever supposed to be 20 minutes long, right? We let go of that a long time ago.
But it also reduces your costs.
Yes.
Because if she had to write something from scratch, she has to do so much research and understand you and blah, blah, blah. If you're giving her the draft, she just makes it look fabulous, and that basically reduces your costs. Because copywriting can be expensive, especially when you go with someone that's really good, right?
And they need to kind of get to know you. But if you've already provided that, there's an essence of you that's already coming in, and that's exactly what the Copy Clinic is all about. So in addition to all of this, so we've got those 4 core areas, the tech and the systems around that. So that might be an area for you. The financial management, that might be an area for you. The sales, and then the marketing sort of piece, or the copy and the marketing. But one of the key books that we both actually avoided for the longest time because of the name of it.
Please note this, any authors, the E-Myth is probably the worst named book out there.
For the best content ever.
Because we didn't read it for years and years and years.
Which is stupid.
Because we didn't think it related to what we were doing at the time when it was so essential.
I remember reading that book and wanting to throw it across the room because of the title of it. Because it is the most helpful book that guides you through from being, we say you're at the heart of your business. It is the thing that allows you to understand the transitions that you need to make from going from being the deliverer and the passionate about the delivery, he calls it the technician, to becoming the manager, to actually becoming the business owner that you actually are. So we cannot recommend this book enough, to the point where I am going to read you in chapter 4 what he actually says about delegation/abdication. Because it's this. There is a critical moment in every business when the owner hires his very first employee, or hers, to do the work he doesn't know how to do himself and doesn't want to. And in a single stroke, you suddenly understand what it means to be in business in a way you never understood before. I don't have to do that anymore. At last, you are free. The manager in you wakes up and the technician temporarily goes to sleep. Your worries are over. Someone else is going to do that now. But at the same time, unaccustomed as you are to being the manager, your newfound freedom takes on an all too common form. It's called management by abdication rather than by delegation. In short, like every small business owner has done before you, you hand the books over to Harry and run. And that can be disastrous for you. So I love, love, love that quote, because it really is a warning for all of us to not do that, because tasks can't be completed properly if they're not trained, or they're not done at all, or you become really unhappy. You know, your customers become really unhappy. The deadlines might get missed because they don't necessarily have the passion and the will for the work to be done in the way that you do, or they don't have the knowledge of your voice and how it's actually done in there. So if you are going to delegate, don't abdicate, don't run. Stay in it, because remember that dictionary definition really is to give somebody else the task with the responsibility to act on your behalf.
Yeah.
And that's really the important thing. You are ultimately, as somebody said, accountable for the outcome of everything in the business.
And Alison says she has that book on Kindle and she's never read it. Crap title. From a copy person herself. Right?
Like, seriously, you are just going to love us for persuading you to actually look beyond the front cover. This is the first, like, you know, seriously. 5 years. I was really mad at Michael Gerber for about 3 months.
But there's lots of people like Joe and Sam in here are saying that they love this book. So we know that it's a favourite for lots of people that are in that entrepreneurial space. Yeah. And you will have a lot of aha moments. But it's, in essence, doing a lot of what we're saying in this live. Yeah. So you've looked at these areas of where you could start delegating some of the work. It's also thinking maybe there's some people in your life that you could have as, and not as one-off employees or freelancers, but people that are there on more of a consistent basis. Yeah. And I think the most important person that, especially early stage speakers, authors and coaches employ to a level is a personal assistant.
Yes.
Or sometimes a virtual assistant. So PA or VA, you'll hear lots of people talking about. Yeah. And that really is, when you go back to what Helena was saying, is when there's a task which is, you know, below your skill set, below your hourly rate, things that you don't enjoy doing, normally things like administration, diary management, following up with clients, booking appointments, arranging travel, all these types of things are headaches which actually you don't need. And once that person's got to know your style, do I always travel first class? Do I do forward facing on a train? Do I not go into London before 10 o'clock? You can hear my request here. Do I, you know...
Your default status.
Yeah. And if I have to book in a hotel, do I have to make sure that they serve vegan or vegetarian food? So all these types of things, they need to get to know you, which is part of the training process. Yeah. But once you can actually have that person in your life, it's like having another 5 hours a week, and it's also that support system, because you're doing more of what you love to do rather than the bits that you have to do to run a business.
And weirdly, some of you will experience this. Having an assistant in some way in your business makes you more accountable. It's kind of weird, but it happens.
So don't freak out, because you don't have to employ these people on a full-time basis. Yeah. You can pay them by doing 5 hours a week and then see how it goes and see how much of that you use in the first month or two and adjust. And so there's lots of people in the hub that you can actually use. If you go to the Connection Hub and use the hashtag call out and ask to connect with people that are virtual assistants or PAs, and then you can see if you can test some of them out. What we've noticed over the last few years is there's been a new breed of virtual assistant that's actually been born through the demands, because they're listening to their avatars' wants and needs.
Good on them.
And what they've done is they've designed something called a tech VA. Now, they do all the jobs of what a VA does, of diary management, travel, following up clients, all those types of things. But they've developed themselves with an additional skill set to be able to schedule social media posts, to be able to upload blogs to Medium, to be able to build additional pages on your website. Yeah. So going back to the tech things you said is one of the first things people sometimes want to outsource. Yeah. These tech VAs are now equipping themselves to be able to be in your business much more holistically and take more load off your plate.
And initiative. Like, you find that actually, because again, as a speaker, author or coach, you have a secret weapon that a lot of other businesses don't. You are passionate and you want to change the world. The chances are that your tech VA or PA is going to buy into the way in which you want to do that. And they will be behind you 100% of the way when you find the one that's right for you.
And it takes a lot of time and training, okay? So our tech VA, is just a dream.
Oh,
but
wonderful.
Helena put so much work in working with her to develop her skill set, to use Canva, to use WordPress, to use all these things that she creates all of our products for us now. And he's just brought it in. And there are a variety. I mean, ours isn't based in the UK. We've never met her.
We're planning. We're planning. So 2020, one of her projects at the moment is to actually devise the trip that gets her over here, which is really cool.
But it is really important that you spend that time, because if not, you're just abdicating. If you're not owning the responsibility of the task that you're giving that VA, of actually training them how to do it your way, how to Helena's bought her courses, online courses on how to learn to do stuff. So
weirdly, I've outsourced, once I trusted her, I've outsourced the learning that I would have been doing wearing one of those hats, but that actually I now understand just what her needs were. So I bought her a course or two that actually allow her to become better at the job than I am, which is great. And that's what we're talking about here. You don't need to know everything in full detail. You simply need to know enough to understand how it impacts your business. And then you need to trust that the person who the task has been delegated to has the skills to take responsibility for that particular task.
And it's another life, but the other on top of the element of that is having valued people, right?
Completely.
Because then they buy into your mission, they have the same ethics, the work ethics are a match. So being not so much like-minded, but like-valued people is a real critical thing that is part of our interview structure.
And we choose every single person that we work with and alongside on that basis. That is the core criteria, right? So here's the thing. So to wrap all of this up, your reputation and your company's reputation is fully affected by the decisions you make around the delegation process. And if you think about it, if you hire somebody shoddy or shady or non-like valued, then and you leave them to it for a while, and you go, here are the keys to the car, then basically you may as well have to pick up all the pieces and spend most of your time that you were hoping to be free of actually patching things up. So here's the thing. You don't want to be losing business in that way. So the keys are, you need to understand in the business what needs to be done and the standard to which it needs to be done.
Show them examples,
and
right?
that's exactly it. So actually start building, and you can do this right now. Have a Dropbox folder and an Evernote folder, whatever it is that you do, where you put examples in, where you actually do the step-by-step process of what you do. So next time you go to write your newsletter, for example, you actually do the step-by-step version of it so that you can delegate it more easily, because it's easier for someone to follow a process, right? What have you got to say?
I'm just going to geek out a little bit.
Okay,
here,
go on.
Because
I could feel it more than see it.
Like our Dropbox folder is full of manuals, right?
Yes.
How we create this, how we do that, how we basically manage our membership site. Because one, it's really good for us to then give to people when we outsource it.
Yeah.
And we're doing it as we're doing it ourselves, so that we know how to upload a new page or a new post in our membership site.
Because actually you don't necessarily do that every day, and it's okay to forget if you have a structure.
But the geeky people and the people like Ian, who I know who will love this, is actually when you're creating these manuals and systems and structure, this helps you exit your business.
Yes.
An exit is when you sell your business. So some of you are building a coaching, consultancy, training organization.
Licensing, franchising.
And so you need these things in place because people can't be in your head.
Yeah.
And when I've worked in government and things like that, everything was documented to how to take the bins out on a Friday and where to put them, right? Because how can somebody else step into your role and become that without knowing these things?
Well, typical for TGI Fridays, I opened 17 of those, and trust me, there is a checklist for everything. Which makes it very easy to replicate. And the basis of success is replication. Right? So when you do something that works, you replicate it. So having a system and a structure for it, we're in a totally different live now, but you get it, right? So we're saying in order to delegate, one, you need to understand what needs to be done and the standard to which it needs to be done. Two, you need to break it down into the component parts and create those checklists and use them as measurements that can actually be seen every step of the way. The third thing is to actually, when you do decide you need somebody to plug one of those gaps we've been talking about, is to really write a very clear brief of what you need, why you need it, and where the gaps are.
And who's it for as well.
Exactly. And then, it's like getting a plumber in or whatever it is. You get 3 quotes as a minimum and you find recommendations. And one of the reasons that we started the Connection Hub was to actually marry up speakers, authors and coaches with the service providers that those people need.
And look at how many people on this live have used Alison's copywriting already, right? Yeah. She's saying, I've used Alison, blah, 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 because we recommend her in the hub and in our membership site.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And so the next thing is, and Kelly's mentioned this already, is to set aside the time to teach. I promise you it'll feel like taking 3 steps back when you first take someone on. So you want to budget that in. Maybe there's a period of time in your seasonal kind of cycle. Maybe winter isn't a time that is very busy for you, in which case that is the perfect time to take somebody on, because you are going to need to, triple check everything they do for the first month. And don't make that about them and checking up about them. Put that in as a firm statement right at the very beginning that says, look, we're still getting to know each other and getting to know how this works. So we're just going to check everything and pretty much do everything together. And it's going to be slower than how you're used to doing it, I promise you. And it can be frustrating. Let it go. That's all I can say. And then the final piece is really to put some checks and balances in there. So again, back to systems, I use a thing called Time Doctor, which is an absolutely brilliant thing that allows me to see screenshots of what Mel is actually working on. So it allows me to do the double checking of what the VA is actually working on. It can be it's a great use of, I think, a tenner a month is all that's in there. Particularly right now, to be honest with you, we're thinking about letting it go because really, truly, I now trust her. We're 2 years down the line. I don't need to check up that she's doing something in a long, laborious way because we've worked out what that is. But when you're first taking someone on, it may be a very good way to check in on people. Yeah. And
I've just added the other one. I use
beautiful.
Stream in there. So Time Doctor and Stream Time.
Great.
Because what you want there is you can actually have your freelancer log in and actually press the start button when they start to work on your project and press the stop button. And then they just account building homepage or website of what that time was.
That's it.
Because that's an important thing, isn't it? So many freelancers can pull the wool over your eyes and say it took 7 hours to do this.
Because you don't know any better.
5 of that was sitting on Facebook, right? So this is the way that you're taking the responsibility, remember, of saying, report to me, show me what you've done. And if you want to
and ask me questions. Exactly. And so really there are so many tools out there that help you to delegate. But the first piece really is you deciding, what do I want to delegate? And then doing that brief and then working out what you're going to check on to make sure that the thing is done.
So, another
big
40 minutes.
40 minutes, we're doing all right.
Call to action for you, as we always say, have a look. What would be the areas that you'd like to have some support with, you'd like to outsource to? The tech, the finance, the sales, the copy, the marketing. And then think about maybe, have you got a project coming up? Have you got something that you've got to complete by the end of Q4 this year? And what's going to support you in doing it on your terms? So you're doing it with love and enjoyment and actually having that support there. Think about who you could do. And then there are lots of, use the hub as a resource to find people, but use sites like Upwork or Fiverr to actually find some of these freelancers that are up there. And remember, it's not always about people. Software can do some of the work for you, okay? So if you don't like the design element of that, that's why we love Canva, because neither of us are very gifted in the creative sense.
Truly, we're creative in many different ways, but the actual graphical creation, not so much.
Stickman's about my advice.
That's right. It's like,
But, Canva is a free tool that you can use to do that. So think about software and people that you can actually help to get that project off the ground or finished. So you can start 2020 on your terms and with support.
So we hope that this has been of use to you. Sometimes actually delegating, and one of the best things that we love, I think, most about being in Changemaker and running the Changemaker Central membership is that the management of the business, in effect, is delegated through to us. So our speakers, authors, and coaches in there definitely have ownership over their own businesses. But the actual delegation of what do I do next or where do I go is partly delegated out to us so that they can get the feedback to say, is this right for where I'm at right now?
And the accountability that Kieran was saying, right?
Yeah.
We have weekly accountability in there.
And so that's actually, however you do it, delegate well, but don't just do it. It takes thought and intention and real structure to do so.
What a lovely word to finish on.
We should finish
Structure.
there. Have a great, wonderful week, and we will catch you either in person or certainly live next Tuesday.
See you later, everyone.